First interview.
Hey,
Where to start?
let's go.
It's been a long time coming, really, hasn't it?
Yes, just a little
Been
bit.
a while.
Been a minute.
Yeah, we've had a few test runs and whatnot. So the reason why I've got my cousin Casey here is for a few reasons. One, she's all over social. She makes me feel quite comfortable being on camera.
Yeah.
And yeah, sort of makes me feel a little bit more comfortable sharing about some topics that we might come across and seeing where we go with that.
Like, did David put water in my bed when I was 5?
Oh yeah, that old story. You want to talk about
No, I
that?
don't actually. I wondered if it was going to come up today.
Yeah, but you know, and a lot about what I'm trying to achieve with this podcast is obviously keeping it real,
Yes.
but also going to some of those darker places if you're willing to sort of talk about it and things you've been through,
Yeah.
and not making it all about darkness really, but obviously setting the tone of it, and then working, you know, and hearing about yourself and what sort of things you've done in your life and what you're doing now to, you know, sort of get over these hurdles and challenges that you've gone through in your life, and you've had your fair share of them.
Yeah.
It's another reason why I've got you on board, Case. You know, like knowing you from since a young age. Well,
Since I was born.
been first cousins, even though we don't look like
I know.
it. But
Well, we look alike.
I'm a bit better looking. But
Chris.
but yeah, through childhood and whatnot, you know, with some of the things we've seen and witnessed and
Been through together.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then also just with your own personal journeys, if like weight gain, if it's eating, you know, you're exercising, and some of the things that you've had to go through in terms of, you know, for me being the outsider, I think of things such as like, you know, your confidence, what other people think, your restrictions on exercise and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I've got you on here, Case, and sort of talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah. Go through it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where to start, and also talk about some of the awesome things you've done in this life. One, being a mother.
Yeah. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
There's a lot. How much time we got?
Yeah. Well, we'll try and... no, we'll get all day. We'll get all night. It's the first podcast.
Chris is like, I want to go home. I got food to eat now.
Yeah. So what are you... We'll just bring our dinner here.
Yeah. What'd you make me?
So, well, let's just start with that, Case. Like, where you at? Like, talk to us about, like, you know, I want to talk about weight. What I want to encourage, right?
Yeah.
Through this podcast and through the listeners is to get across the difficult times, because we're all going to go through difficult times. If this was about weight loss or depression or, you know, any sort of health, mental health, you know, challenge, I want to sort of talk about what it is you go through.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to talk about all those times. So,
I reckon probably just kind of go through where I've been at for the last, say, year. And then I think if we even just go through what I've done in the last 8 months to a year, it kind of everything else will come into that. So, February this year, I hit the heaviest I had ever been in my life, my entire life. And you know that I've been through so many ups and downs with my weight. I've lost weight, I've gained weight, I've had surgery, had that removed, I've, you know, so much stuff. So anyway, February this year, it was when I hit my most uncomfortable, my most heaviest, my most lowest point of my life. And we went down to Honeymoon Pool down south. Yep. And I remember just like at that point, like my legs were swollen, my feet were swollen, like I was just having a really hard time. I was in a dark place, and Jaden and that were like, let's go down south, I'll take you to this place, it's really cool, it's cold water, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, cool, whatever, let's go. And I remember jumping in that water, and this is why I love the cold water, I think, so much now too, is jumping in that water, and it was freezing, like ice cold, and we were in nature, and I remember being like, oh, well, I ended up spending the whole day in there, so it took me a little bit to get in there, and then I spent like the next 7 hours just floating in that, like it was hot, like it was the most beautiful hot pool I've ever been in. And I left there, and I said to them on the way home, something's changed in me. I was like, that today has just flicked a switch in me. I don't know what it is, but I feel so cleansed. I just feel like, oh my God, I can't explain it. So then from there, I got home and I was like, all right, well, we had a few events we had to do and things we had to do, and I really enjoyed those. And then I just knuckled down and was like, all right, let's do some work. Like, cool. I'm sick of being where I'm at. And before I started that, we went away and I got some photos taken on the beach, and I remember feeling so cute in these little this shorts and this crop top, and we're at the beach. I'm like, take some photos of me. And I remember looking at these photos like, oh my God. And I was like,
who's that?
What the heck? And I was like, I'm going to use those as before photos one day. They are terrible. Like, I was like, what? How I feel is not how I look, like at that moment. Anyway, so then, I kind of started my another weight loss journey, and that was in February. And like between February and like April, I had lost like 12 kilos. It was slow. And then I felt myself kind of going off track again, and I was like, nah, man, like I've got to do something else. Like this is not working, and I'm so tired of my own bullshit. Like I cannot actually, I was like, I'm constantly doing the cycle where I lose the weight and then
from my point of view, and obviously knowing you for quite a long period, like when you've put your mind to something, and if it's I'm going to obviously talk about exercise and losing weight, and I have seen you had the operations and things like
that's
that.
Right.
And, you've always gone the highest of highs because you don't do things in halves.
I'm all or nothing.
All or
literally,
nothing.
Yeah.
And within, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's sometimes weeks and you've lost a ton of weight.
Yep.
You're a whole new person, your attitude and everything.
Yeah.
And then you sort of go through this deflation of,
you get tired of it. And
get tired and things like that, which from my point of view and my personal journeys that I go through, it's so, when you're on the hype or something, it's very easy to sort of get excited and achieve things quickly, but it's that longevity of side of things.
I do that. I hit I might hit 20 kilos and then I would stop. Like that was my thing. So originally it was 20 kilos. As soon as I hit that, I would gain 30. Then I'd be like, right, I need to lose some weight, lose 20 kilos, gain 40, lose 20 kilos, gain 50. So it was always just I realised there was a pattern there that I had to change.
So what are you doing different then?
Well, I then was...
This time around, because I have noticed that this has been a
different
longer period.
Yeah. So since April, so I decided to do 75 hard, and that was not a weight loss journey. That was a mental toughness thing. So I was like, okay, I've done the weight loss journey for 20 plus years, not working, does not work. What can I do now? So 75 hard was like something else. So it's a no excuses kind of thing. So it's all about your mental toughness. It's all about, making pretty much no excuses, executing what you say, doing what you say you're going to do. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And I'm obviously a big social media person. So I went on social media and on my Instagram and I just said, I am doing 75 hard and I'm fucking finishing it. Like I am so tired of my own bullshit. Watch me do this. And that was it. That was the fire. So did you sort of
almost make your followers make you accountable for...
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I said, watch me show up every single day. Yeah. I was like, I am doing this and I'm telling you right now, at the end of this, I'm going to be a changed person. Yeah. Watch me. Yeah. And that was the fire.
I think being transparent to people around you. Yeah. I know that with our family and things like that, I'm quite open now with my emotions or what I'm going through in life. Rather than sort of hiding it, I find that when I'm more vulnerable or more, when I communicate to people I trust and family... And I don't know, even it sort of does hold you accountable.
Yes, yeah.
And
Yeah, and mine is my Instagram. So for me, it's like I'm showing up, and I've showed up for the last 4 years to these people. These people have seen me go through my highest of my highs and my lowest of my lows. Yeah. And that's been my diary for the last 4 years. So for me to do that, because I got to a point where I was like, I would open my phone and be like, hi, you know, to sit there and have a little video, and then I'd close it and be like, what are you doing? Like, that's so fake. You don't even feel how you're trying to show up, or stop trying to show up as someone you're not right now. Yeah. And that's when I started getting tired of my own bullshit, and I was like, nah. So 75 hard is what really got me going, because I done that first 75 days and I finished it, and I lost 24 kilos in that 75 days, but it wasn't actually about, so I've got eating disorders, like I have binge eating disorder, I have food addiction. That's always been a big excuse of mine. Oh, but I have this. Can we talk about that? Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So what is what was it? Eating disorder?
Binge addiction? Eating. I've got a binge eating disorder, and then food addiction. So
I mean, I think we've all got that to some degree.
So but I got told to go into this, like they wanted to fully admit me into this program and everything for it, because of how fast I was gaining weight. Yep. Towards the end before I started this in February. They wanted to put me, you know, on this really intense program where I was having multiple people working on me with me to because like between, say, there was a month between doctor's visits and something, and I put on like 12 kilos. Yeah. And he's like, if you continue to gain, like he literally said to me, if you continue to gain weight at this rate, you're not going to live till the end of the year. Like I'm telling you right now, Casey, you will not see your son turn 10. And I was like, wow. So, but I didn't follow through with that, because I had to fill out this big, huge questionnaire, and it was just too much. And I was like, nah, you know. But for me, like binge eating was, I would go through this cycle. So some people turn to alcohol, some people turn to drugs. I would open the fridge. Yeah. Like if I'm upset, if I'm mad, if I'm anything, the fridge. And I would just eat until I was so sick that and I'd be embarrassed. And sometimes I'd hide it, you know, like I would eat until, and I'd call it cat mode, where I'd just turn into a big fat cat and go sit on the couch with you know, just not wanting to move. That was the binge eating side of things. It's only when I really was upset or anything like that. And I was at my lowest, so I was binging a lot. Yeah, yeah. And then adding on top of that food addiction, where literally from the moment I open my eyes in the morning to the moment I go to sleep, food is consuming my brain. Yeah. So 75 hard took that away completely. Yeah. Completely. The day I started, I did not.
In what way though? Like, I mean, you know, I know with my addictions, you know, I've got many as well, and I believe everyone's got addictions. If it's food, drugs, alcohol, porn, and you name it, everyone's got it to some degree. Social. Yeah. You know, but even the addiction to overthinking, and you know,
100%.
And self-criticism, and anyway. But so to hear you find that 75 hard, which we can go into again, but like finding that 75 hard, like because I know with addiction, it's always there, and unless you replace it with something.
Well, that's what I feel like. What it was is, so the day I started, suddenly my mind was consumed with ticking off my tasks rather than food. Like food was honestly, I'm telling you, like I can't even explain. I got into my car, I went to a drive-through. I might have just had breakfast, but if I get in my car, that tells my mind to go through a drive-through and go eat you something. So I'd sometimes pull into a drive-through and I'd be like, I'm not hungry. Oh, can I, you know, and I'd just go and order a meal and then sit in the car park and eat it and not tell anyone about it, hide it. And
feel
like absolute shit. Yeah. But then I could have been on the way to lunch, and I've pulled into this drive-through without realising. So I'm like, oh, well, now I have to get something, and then turn up to lunch and sit there and eat the lunch because I'm meant to be having lunch with this person. Yeah. And then I could have dinner and then, you know, like have it again.
And how crazy is it that even though in that shit situation, so you finished eating, you know, and you know, and afterwards you're just like, how shit you feel. And then you sort of smash your head up against the wall. You give yourself
and then do it again.
Then all this bad criticism, self-criticism comes in. You're a piece of shit.
Sabotage,
you're fat, or whatever it may be.
All of it,
And that's the worst, I find, for mental health. You know, it's like you have like, so you fucked up, and then but then the aftermath of fucking up, what you put yourself through is.
So imagine that that fucking up, but that's your everyday life.
Yeah,
Like that's your
true,
mind.
'cause
That's literally was
Yeah,
my
yeah.
my that
And
was
it's
my
all around you
lifestyle.
too. Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't me fucking up. That was how I lived. Like that's how it became.
Yeah.
How I lived. Like I could eat 6 full meals in a day if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have and this is another thing, since I was a kid, I feel like my mind has been breakfast is at this time, lunch is at this time, dinner's at this time, right? But if I ate an hour before dinner time, I would then have dinner again at dinner time because it's dinner time I'm meant to eat.
Yeah.
Same with lunch. I could have lunch at 11, but at 12:30 I'll be like, oh, it's lunchtime. I've got to eat lunch.
Yeah, right.
And I could have just had a full-blown meal.
So sorry to interrupt. So because I've been doing a lot about addiction. Mine's been alcohol.
Yeah.
And mainly one of probably many, but even when I've been cutting out my drinking, and it's like I've gone and done a day's work out in the sun, and then I'm not drinking at the time.
Yeah.
Well, I've said to myself, I'm not going to drink, for a period of time. And then when I've finished work, I'm driving home down the freeway, and there's this voice in your head going, well, you've worked hard today. It's been a hot day. There's nothing wrong
Reward
with having
yourself.
a beer. Have a reward.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then it wasn't until I got to find the book that I was reading, but it was talking about you got to listen to those subtle voices that are in your head, because your own mind is trying to convince you that it's okay to be having an addiction, because that's what it feels you need,
Yes, well, that takes me back to 75 Hard. So 75 Hard was eliminating that voice. So that is called, on the 75 Hard program, it's called your bitch voice, right? Yeah. And that's the voice that tells you to do something that's probably not the best thing for you, but you do it anyway because your bitch voice is talking to you. Yeah. So your boss voice is what you learn to tap into during 75 Hard.
The bitch voice and
the bitch voice and your boss voice. And I would say, I would be like, oh my God, I feel like this. I'm like, shut up, it's your bitch voice. And I would literally say that, oh my God, shut up, Casey, it's your bitch voice. You're all good. Yeah. And then I'd carry on. But learning to know that there is this and there is that voice, and listening to the right voice was what got me through 75 Hard.
Yeah.
So
it's recognising that.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And also being bigger than your excuses. Yeah. I could have, like, my excuses used to be, oh, but I done that because I have binge eating disorder, and I had done that because I'm a food addict. Whereas no, that's your bitch voice. You can actually do this and not use this as an excuse, but at the end of the day, you choose what road you want to go down, and that's where I found 75 Hard was a great thing for me, because it created mental toughness.
And the other side to it as well is when the self-criticism kicks in, you got to allow yourself to go, I fucked up, it's the past. We've got no control over the past anymore. What we've got control on is getting back up on the horse.
Yeah.
And I'm
definitely good at that.
Yeah. Well, you got to be. I think it doesn't matter who you are in life. I mean, everyone needs to. I mean, if you're not learning or messing up, this is what I believe. I believe if you're not feeling nervous, if you're not fucking up, if you're not doing wrong things, it means you're not really trying. Yeah. Because we can just stay in the comfort zone.
Oh, 100%.
And be happy, be comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think doing 75 Hard, I mean, you would have never known.
Oh, it threw me out of my comfort zone completely, because I, one of the tasks is to, you have to do a 45-minute workout outdoors. At first, I was looking at the weather every day to check because it was winter. I was looking at the weather going, oh, when is it not raining? Oh, there's a window between 11 and 12 that's not raining. Let's go out then. 20 days, 30 days in, I'm looking for when it's going to be raining the most, because I want to get out there and do the shit when no one else is doing it. Yeah. And that's what it became like. At first, easing into it, this is what I wanted, the easy way, and then in the end I wanted the biggest challenge. I literally, there was a storm coming, and I'm out at the park and the trees are flying off, and I'm walking through this like, fuck yeah, where's everyone else? No one's here. And that made me feel empowered, because I would have never done that before. I would have been at home, perfect excuse to watch movies. It's raining, let's put the shutters down.
They say that, like, you got to replace the addiction with addiction.
Yeah, and I did. I got addicted to cold water swimming, actually. Yeah. Like, majorly. In winter, I'm out in the pool, and everyone used to come out there and be like, "You're crazy," and I'd be like, "I fucking love it." Yeah. I said it to Chad. I go, that feeling I used to get when I pulled into the drive-through, I said, I get that when I see this pool. Like, we went and it was so cold. There was a storm. It was literally thunder and lightning, and it was hailing. And we've gone to go in the indoor pool, and I've just looked out and I've gone, I'm just going to go outside. Like, it was just that same feeling I used to get with the drive-through, and I was like, bro, I'm addicted to it. And I jumped straight in that pool, and I got told to get out because it was like, it's as dangerous. And I'm like, please just let me stand here. Like, this is a mate, because I became addicted to the cold water. So I replaced my addiction with something that was good for me. Yeah.
I got to admit as well, like, part of my journey of trying to get into a better frame of mind and mental health and things. Definitely cold showers, ice baths. You know, and it's crazy. Just going back to what you said before, that's what made you realise that you need to fucking do a new path.
I had a cold shower before I came here because I was just feeling anxious. Did you? Yeah, I was feeling anxious. Shit. I was like, nah, man, I got to go have a cold shower. I didn't want to wet my hair, but I was like, you're doing it.
That and some breathing techniques.
Yes, and I did, and
So, which we'll get into that because I want to talk about that as well. But from the weekend, but so for those who are going to listen to this case and you know, probably connect to your story, 75 hard seems like it's something that you'd be a big advocate of in terms of going there. So where do you even begin to sort of get onto this sort of, or and is there other avenues as well?
Yes, so I've had multiple people come to me. Obviously, a lot of people have watched my journey. A lot of people inspired. I know there's probably about 10 to 15 people who have now done it because of my journey that I know of that have openly said to me, "I'm starting because of you." But it's one of those things, like I had someone message me last night just saying, I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel and I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help? And I was like, here's the podcast, 75 Hard. That's all I can tell you. Like, there's literally, I've done so many things in my life, and I'm telling you right now, like, that is something that will actually change your life if you're willing to commit to it. You know, and yeah, like, so I listened to the podcast. I paid $85 to buy the book. I was like, I don't even care what it costs, whereas I don't like paying $20 for a book. I was like, I want this so badly. I'm going to get the podcast. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to listen to his podcast every day. I'm going to, I follow him. He is literally God to me now. I'm like, this man is his program's changed my life. So I just... There's podcasts out there. There's all sorts of things. So many. If you just search the hashtag.
So 75 hard, is that something that you have to pay a monthly?
No. So you just you download an app which is like $8, and that has that's to tick it all off. But it's a free program. Like, you can go online and do it yourself. You've got the rules there, but otherwise. And
I think also on top of all that as well, you know, like, sort of, you can be a little bit creative, I feel like. I mean, you're doing ice baths at the same time, unless that is part of 75 hard.
It's got phases. So there's 75 hard, which is like your first 75 days, 2 workouts a day, 1 outdoors. Take a progress photo every day, read 10 pages of a non-fiction book, 4 litres of water, and follow a diet and no alcohol.
Yeah, cool.
Right, so that's 75 days every single day. And then you can go into your next phase, which incorporates all of that, plus 10 minutes of visualization, 5 minutes of cold showers, and it can't be have a little bit of hot on, like cold. And I think there's one other thing in there as well, and then that's a 30-day program. So it's a year-long program if you do the whole thing.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. But it does incorporate the cold water and stuff. All the things.
Because you definitely need to do that. I mean, I have my morning ritual, cold shower. You know, with summer, try and do a few more ice baths. But I also find you know, mine's a little bit different with PTSD. You know, and so mine's about trying to be a little bit more structured and things like that. But the cold shower definitely helps. You know, with the increase of
it's the best.
But another cool thing that I want to talk about is like that sort of fits into this is like breath work. And I mean, you've been hearing me bang on about it a fair bit, you know, and which we'll have a breath work technician, you know, like teacher coming on the podcast. I've got booked in for next week. So, and so it'd be good to hear from her. But I mean, you had a first-hand experience with it over the weekend, which...
Best thing ever. So I was so obviously I done 2 rounds of 75 hard because I needed to really cement that in, and then I went to do a 3rd round and I felt like I was feeling lost again. I was getting that.
So do you feel that you have to be doing the 75
I
hard
got
to be
addicted
doing the 75
to doing
hard?
I stopped for a little while, done the 2nd round, smashed that one out, and then when I tried to do the 3rd, I stopped, and then I started again, and I started giving myself excuses. Oh, you know, maybe I probably need to not be on the program and start incorporating a little bit of balance into my life, eating chocolate if I want to, but just in proportion.
So what happens if you got off 75 hard? Do you feel
I'm
it's
off
a
it right
habit
now?
You're off it right now.
So I'm off it right now.
Which takes a little bit more mental focus.
So I was on it until Saturday when I went to that workshop, and then I left that workshop and said, I feel like that chapter's done for now.
Yeah.
And I'm now walked into this whole other chapter, which is this, I don't even know what
Talk
it
about
is.
it. Talk about it.
This
Tell everyone.
emotional
What was it called?
chapter, Amend.
Yeah.
So they done a workshop, and they do a lot of workshops in Queensland,
Yep.
a lot with men. They used to do, I think it was initially it was just with men,
Yep.
and it was pretty much about tapping into who you are as a person, kind of healing. It's a big healing journey and things like that. And honestly, I've wanted to do this for a while, but just never had the opportunity to. So when I heard that they were coming to Perth and then they had a free workshop, but they also had because they weren't sure how it was going to sell and stuff, I won ticket, like the free tickets. So they were free anyway, but I won it. So I was like, okay, that's a sign. But so did two of my girlfriends from Girl Gang. And so I was like, oh, well, let's do it together, because I probably wouldn't have gone if it was just me. I actually wouldn't have gone. I was trying to talk them out of us going.
Oh, really?
Didn't want to go. I was so nervous.
Right.
I was scared.
Yeah.
I'd seen their
The unknown.
videos. Not knowing what I'm walking
What's gonna
into.
brew
And
up.
and especially with breathwork. I knew breathwork was in there, and I've seen the screaming and all that, and I've thought, but once you experience it, you don't even care that everyone around you is screaming and crying, and you're so tapped into your own stuff that you can hear it, but it's not. It's completely it's nothing like what I thought it was going to be. That like breath work that we done. So we spent a whole day kind of tapping, and there was like all these different tasks throughout the day, and it all led us to what was going to be coming at the end, which was the breath work side of it. And I've seen it, I've heard it, watched videos, but never done it myself. And it was like out of this world. But I still, like I say this, I don't feel like I fully let go and got right into it like I could have. But then I'm only saying that because I wasn't screaming or anything like other people in the room.
Yeah.
But I think I told you, like, my release came out differently, and that's that I went to the toilet afterwards and completely water.
Just on that note, with my experiences with breath work, I mean, even ayahuasca, which you know a lot about, that I've done, and the different ceremonies that I've had with those, it's like each time is different, you know, and they talk about like what comes up is what you need, not what you want. So having a breakout and crying, or having a fit of laughter, all these
that
different
happened.
things.
All of that, I could hear that all happening. Laughter. One was a real scary laugh.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the? But I didn't know that till afterwards. Like, you don't really realise it when you're in that moment. No,
but like, and also just that unknown part as well, you know. I sort of feel that, I mean, it's quite natural to feel restricted going into a new place, doing a new thing. So you were never going to really 100% let go.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Well, so we done 3 rounds, right? So we done 3 rounds. So the first round, when I started feeling like something was happening, I stopped breathing. I held my breath, and then I breathed real. I stopped doing the breathworks breathing. Yep. Because I was scared, and I was like, and then we did this whole hold your breath thing at the end. And when I held my breath, something came over me. My hands were numb, my feet were numb, I went cold, and I could feel all of this. So I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? So I stopped that. Then we had our second round, and I thought, no, you're here for a reason. Just come on, like, you can do this. And I cried that entire round. Just sat there. I sat there bawling like a little girl. Yeah. And I remember thinking, and that's what I felt. I felt like a little kid sitting in a room crying, and I'd done that for the entire 7 minutes. I cried. And then the third round, which was crazy, because so Yaz was with me, next to me, and I've been pushing her since I started my journey, because me and her, prior to me starting 75 Hard, were like the same person when it came to everything, life, how we think, how we feel, how we act, everything. So knowing what I've done with 75 Hard, I've been pushing her to now do her journey, whatever that is and whatever that looks like. I'm wanting her to do something for herself. So we ended up doing this together. And anyway, I was laying next to her. So the third round happened, and I remember through the third round, I cried pretty much that whole time too, but I felt like I was feeling a lot of her pain, and I was crying for her, with her. And then when we actually came to, I realised we were holding hands. Yeah. And I didn't even realise at some point in there, I held her hands and I felt her emotion, and I was crying with her. So
Isn't it crazy how connected we really are as
even she
beings?
said she didn't realise we were holding hands. Like, literally, when we stopped, we've kind of like, and I was like, I've gone like this. I was like, what the hell? Yeah. And so So I had 3 very different things in those experiences in those 3 rounds. But then what was for me, and I've actually gotten more into this since it happened, was when I went to, I released it afterwards by going toilet, and I have never, ever, ever peed like that in my entire life. Like, and I drink a lot of water. Yeah. And I drank about 1 litre that day, and this was at the end of the day, and I'd been going to toilet a lot throughout the day, but this was I was 30 seconds of like fire hose. And I looked into it more. I've been looking into it, and I've been talking to the guys about it.
What come up prior to this? Like, so, I mean, what was it? Was it your childhood, or was it present stuff? Was it anything?
It was just, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But one of the guy who runs it had said, like, that's your body. Like, your body is like a sponge, right? And through all your life, your body just takes on all this stuff, and that was your body just releasing it all. So and I felt like I walked in there with the world on my shoulders, and I walked out of there with nothing. Yeah. Like, we wrote a letter of forgiveness to ourselves. That ended up being 3 pages long. We burnt that, and when that burnt, I felt that shit go. Yeah, cool. Like, and then the breath work and the afterwards, I felt that go, and I walked out of there going, what do I do next? Like, I'm free of all of this.
It sounds like we need more of these workshops. I mean, because the only other thing, I mean, there is breath work. Obviously, I've done that. Yeah. With someone else, but there's none of these sort of workshops I know. But I'm going to try and research it more
they're insane.
To see if we can get them in. But what was I going to say on that? Because the only really alternative is things like ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And I know with ayahuasca, when I was researching, it took me 4 years to actually get the courage to go and do something like that. And I mean, it probably was the best thing I've ever done for myself in my life, but you got to be ready for it.
Yes.
But,
definitely.
With the research I done, there was a lot of talk about purging, and purging is obviously spewing up, but.
Yeah, they talked about that at this workshop too.
Oh, is it? Yeah, and that's purging, massive. Yeah. Man. So I've done one ceremony where I purged and one where I haven't, and when you talk about a release and weight off your shoulders, and it's
that word came up a couple of times. I didn't really know what it meant though.
But before we done the first ceremony, it's also known as purging. Can also be shitting yourself.
I thought it was killing people because of the movie. Nah. You purge and everyone.
Or maybe, I don't really know the full meaning of purging. So that's what I thought. So when they're talking about purging, I'm like, what the hell are these? But people? Also like yawning. I noticed that like yawning.
Coughing is another one.
Yeah, coughing, laughing.
Yeah. So that's what there was a lot of that. There was coughing, there was laughing, there was screaming, there was crying, there was wailing, like on the marae. Yeah. With that wailing sound of cry. Yeah, there was all of that.
Just let it out.
Yeah. So and everyone obviously has different things.
And that's all about just tapping into that part of your brain where we find it hard, and that's where all the trauma's coming from. And
I'm actually doing another one, just a breath work though.
Oh yeah.
On the 22nd. I don't know what that's going to be like because I feel like the workshop was
I'm booked in Wednesday morning. Do you want to come and do it with me?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
We'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah. I would like to.
We should do a podcast before and after this breathwork section. And then she's going to come on and do a podcast as well. Yeah. So we'll get a lot of information out of her and things like that. But
I'm just interested to see how it goes because obviously being a workshop, it's different. But honestly though, they should have something like that over here. Like,
which I think it's coming. Like if you had brought something that they do into Perth 10 years ago, that just wouldn't have worked. It's only just because, this is my opinion on it. Yeah. It's only because we're becoming more open to the ideas of natural therapy over pharmaceutical drugs, and we're hearing a lot that pharmaceuticals don't work. Well, it's got what the long term effects are. But with another thing I want to talk about though, because I want to get to the point of people being able to get ideas of trying to get out of ruts they're in. If it's losing weight or addictions. We've talked about breath work. We've talked about the 75 hard. We've talked about the mindsets and things like that. But also, Case, talk about your gym because that's been something. Yeah.
So that started. So Girl Gang started for me during COVID. So when COVID happened, my gym got shut down. So I was on another journey at that time, and I'd been at CrossFit for about a year and a half, lost 40 kilos, feeling amazing. COVID hit, and then I was at Mum's house, and she had like an old, rusty old plate in the backyard, and I think a medicine ball. I said, can I take those because I need to do some workouts in my garage? And that's how that started. And then like slowly we got a little bit of boxing gloves, but prices went up crazy on Marketplace when COVID hit as well. So we just kind of had what we had. And then when the lockdown was off, one of my friends said, "Oh, can I come to a workout with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." Next workout, I'm going to bring one of the school mums. And I was like, "Yeah, sweet as." And then the school mum came, "I'm going to bring my sister next." And then all of a sudden, I was having all these girls going, "Are you doing more than one class?" Like, because me and Chad were already working out. Like that was the thing, we needed to do this. So we were already working out. But then these girls started coming in one to a next to two to bring in their friends. And then suddenly I'm like, people are going, "Well, we want to like pay you." Because I started buying more equipment. I was like, well, far out. Like, I can't keep doing this. So we had been doing it with half of our garage full of junk, and we just used this little section here. Yeah. And then one morning we had like 4 or 5 people come in, and Chad's just gone, "Well, I'll just clear out the garage." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So he's cleared it out, and then next minute we're buying stuff. We're getting more people coming. People are wanting to pay. And I was like, "Oh, I had a little donation jar. If you want to donate, cool. If you don't, it's fine." And I was just enjoying these people coming through, and it went from like a hobby to, okay, one of my friends who owns the Women's Fitness Academy, she's like, "Case, like, go do your certificates, like get your cert 3 and 4 in fitness." And I was like, "Who the hell's going to hire a big girl like me? Like, I'm doing this just with these." And she's like, "No one, like, do it for yourself. And you're already doing this, like, do the level up." So went through and done my cert 3, and that's a whole other bloody story, that one. Good, but like that was another barrier I had to break, being a big girl in the fitness industry. Right? It's a stigma. Like no one wants.
How'd you overcome that? Because you seem,
that was hard.
You seem really, really confident with everything you do.
I still struggle with that now. Like I don't like to tell people, what I do. Like if someone, like when I'm with friends and they're like, "Oh yeah, she runs Girl Gang, like she owns Girl Gang, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Oh yeah." But I don't want to get into it because the looks like when I say, "Oh yeah, I run a group fitness thing," people are like, "Oh," give you that look because it's what happened is I done a photo shoot with the Women's Fitness Academy, and I sat out the front of there. Same thing as this workshop. I did not want to do it. I'd looked up all the girls, the women who were doing it. Yeah, right. They were all muscles, stunning, small. Just had banging bodies, and I was like, "What the fuck have I got myself into?" And I literally sat out there. I was on the phone chat. I was like, "I don't want to do this. I'm not doing this. I can't do this. Like, what the hell?" Walked in there, and I walked out of there a changed person. I was just like, I'm here representing for the girls who can't do it.
And it's never as bad as what you think it's going to be.
Never as bad.
Yes,
ever.
Anything in life.
No, that changed my life. That was just another level up in my fucking life story.
And if anything, you always get something more positive, or you gain something out of those situations. But yet we have these. It's like this podcast. I mean, I've been prolonging this for months now, and it's all been for the same reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the best things that ever happened to me, that photo shoot. But I would never have imagined that.
Was this the sponsorship that you're doing? Or no, was this through something else? I can remember it happened.
So this was this was purely just they wanted to show that we are inclusive of everybody, and they're big on breaking the stigma around the fitness industry, right? So they wanted all sorts of people in there, but I'm an ambassador for them, and they will always post me on their social media, no shame at all, because Women's Fitness Academy, like Lauren, hates the whole BMI thing, like people saying, there's this whole thing like health doesn't have a size, like people will say there's healthy and there's fat and there's unhealthy, but they're not the same thing. Like a skinny person can be really unhealthy, and a fat person can be healthy to an extent.
Sure.
And so it's just breaking all those kind of stigmas and stuff like that. So I still struggle. Like I still struggle to this day to tell people what I do. But what I love is when I have a plus size girl walk into my space not knowing who I am and seeing me, and then I introduce myself, and like she can walk in there looking so scared and then see, holy shit, this plus size person is my trainer. And instantly that I want these people to feel like the whole thing is I know what, as a plus size person, what I can and can't do. And small people, small trainers who have never been fat don't understand how a fat person works out, how they
you more
feel.
or less want them to feel the same, like you want them to love yourself.
I want them to understand that I understand how you feel right now.
Okay.
So walking into my space, I understand. I'm the girl. I want to be the face that I was looking for as a girl. Yeah. Like when I went to join CrossFit, I watched them for a year looking for a plus size person. Not once did I see one, and then I was like, I've just got to be her. So I walked in those doors, like I'll be that person. If no one else will be, I will be. And then that's kind of where as hard as it's a huge challenge for me, but I want to be that person that I was looking for.
I know even for myself, when I've gone for walks with you around like Tomato Lake and things, and you don't even really realise it. For someone of my size, obviously I get around quite easily. Yeah. And with same with fitness, and we've been in boxing and all sorts of different things. I find it quite easy, and
you wouldn't even think.
You never think about what another person's going through, and that can happen on all different levels. And it wasn't until we were going for that walk around Tomato Lake, and I've noticed like you and Chad going slower. Yeah, not that I was judging you in a bad way, by the way. Yeah. But it made me realise like, fuck, this is just a casual stroll for me.
Yes, whereas that was a full-on workout for us.
I could do 100 laps of this, and where, and for myself, actually to understand that on a personal level for myself, I just felt like had a lot more appreciation for those, and also having been having a boxing gym, I just know if an oversized person did come in, I actually had a little bit more, what's the word, like respect for them. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes. Like, because you want people like that to come, and it's the reason why you open up a gym. Yeah. And I think that's,
Yeah. Well, see, but whereas I would go to, like, I wouldn't like going to a gym because I'd have some skinny person who doesn't know how if a big person can do a burpee or not tell me to do a burpee and then walk away, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that, but now I've got to have the awkward conversation of telling you that I can't go get down on the ground that easily, or things like that. So that's where what I'm doing is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I know for a fact that if there's a girl that is my size or a big girl, I'm not going to make her jump up on a box. But whereas I was told to jump up on a box, do a box jump.
Yeah, true.
No.
And then also, I guess,
I understand.
And then knowing you can't do that. Yeah, and then being in a group of people, you don't,
and having to you either stand there feeling awkward as fuck because you and not doing it, and then people are looking at you like, why are you not doing it, or you have to say, I can't do that, and that's embarrassing too. So I'm that person that understands what it's like to be a plus size person in the fitness world, and I don't make you do things that I know you can't do because I can't do them, or I'll come at you in a different way.
So what would you suggest then for people?
So if I was to make someone, if there was something, I cater my workouts as well to who's booked in. So if I know that there's a few more...
No, but if there's someone out there, that's struggling with their weight, or even insecurities. So, I mean, you can have insecurities being my weight. Yeah. I have them all the time, but like, so... I mean, because obviously there's your gym, but not every overweight person in all around WA, or Australia can come to your gym. Yeah. So what would you recommend? I mean, you've got the 75 hard. You can go for walks. You can do things like that. But I mean, what else? I
think the biggest thing is obviously the first step is walking through the door.
Yeah.
Right. Walking through the door.
With any gym.
Yeah. Any gym, but making sure that you're comfortable. You kind of get that vibe the moment you walk in. Like I know from me personally, I've walked into gyms for a walk straight back out instantly because I don't like the vibe instantly. I don't like the looks I got instantly. And I've also had like trainers look at me a certain way when I've walked in the door and I've just been like, nope. Yeah. So just making sure that you find someone that's comfortable. I feel like these days it's way more you see, like when I was looking for a plus size person in a CrossFit gym, could not find one. I would have joined any gym when I searched Perth CrossFit gyms. I would have joined the first one that I saw a plus size person in because I was like, oh, she can do it, I can do it. I found none. Now you see the big girls and boys in the gyms, CrossFit gyms, and they are smashing it. Yeah. And it's out there now. Yeah, it's out there. Like there's just, and I think just
like I said, it's encouraging to see all different. Young, old, fat, skinny. But the other thing is also we're talking a lot about gyms. A lot of it is diet, and we've talked about the the eating part of it.
You can't out train a bad diet. Took me a long time to learn that one.
but it's mindset too, man. You know, when you're having those fucking dark days, man, it's hard to get out of the gym regardless who you are and get to the gym. Yeah. I guess.
And I think that's that whole like one foot in front of the other. You've just it's a bad day, not a bad life. Like tomorrow could be, and I'm like that now. Like I'll sit there and I was having this conversation today saying who I was yesterday is not who I am today. So don't sit there and tell me I was this person yesterday because that's not me today. Because every day I'm getting better. Every day I'm learning. Every day. So who I was yesterday, I might have been an asshole yesterday, but today I'm not that asshole because I learned from yesterday. Yeah. So like, and that's the same with anything. One foot in front of the other, brick by brick. Just
doing your best.
Yeah, doing your best. And I think just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable too is a big one. Like,
definitely.
That's getting out of your comfort zone is the best thing you could ever do for yourself.
And living your life, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we look at problems being problems, but it's not. You know, they're just challenges, and it's living your life. You know, and getting up and doing something. And
guaranteed, I would not if I had have listened to my bitch voice. If I had have listened to my comfort zone, I would not have gone to that workshop on Saturday. And that workshop has done. Like changed my life in such a small amount of time. I feel like a different person. That photo shoot changed my life. Doing the fitness industry thing changed my life. Starting Girl Gang changed my life. Like all these things that I did not want to do and would not have done if I had listened and stayed in that comfort zone. I wouldn't be where I am today, and I would probably be dead. Like, let's be real. I probably would have got to a point if I didn't keep pushing myself beyond my limits and out of my comfort zone. I probably wouldn't be here right now.
And listening to that voice that's trying to stop you from doing it too. Because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're our own hurdles.
We're our own worst enemies.
We're our own worst enemies. And
I definitely...
you can get over yourself and you can, your own self-criticism and things.
Self-sabotage is so real. Like, and I found this during 75 Hard. I could be all up in the mirror being like, yeah, girl, you look good. And the next day, absolutely seeing the most disgusting person in that mirror because my mind is different that day. Yeah, it's self-sabotage. I will pick myself apart in the mirror for 5 minutes, but the next day I will look in that mirror and be like, you're a hot bitch. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it depends on you.
And feeling okay to talk to yourself. Like
I do all the time. I look in the mirror straight in my eyes nowadays. Like
you were saying before, you were saying before, like you cried like a little girl, or like I'd say I cried like a little boy. Well, what's the matter with crying like a big man?
Yeah.
Or crying like a big woman. See, I feel like we need to be able to tap into these emotions.
Yeah. Whereas I feel mine was my inner child. Yeah. Because there's a lot of work that I've been doing on my inner child. Well, a lot of work that I've been doing and my inner child has come up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like that's what that was. I feel like that was my actual little girl self crying. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what you got to tap into. Yeah. That's where it all starts.
Yeah. And it's okay to cry. Like even as an adult, a man, woman. I love men that cry. Like I sit there and I still really struggle with it.
I've learned that I've got to be able to sit there with that emotion,
Yes.
and where I've suppressed a lot of emotions from my childhood and whatnot, down with alcohol and whatnot, and so to be able to just be present with that emotion that's coming up, being good or bad. Yeah. Because sometimes the good emotions can make you cry as well.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. And the more you can sit with it, the more.
Mm. Yeah. And I think, I
also had it on my list. I mean, I'm going to probably try and wrap it up soon, but I had it on my list too because I've never really asked you the question. Like, I mean, a lot of on this podcast and my upbringing and things like that, I'm probably going to bring up finding my mum dead through suicide at the age of 14. And as I wrote that down in my notes,
that affected me big time.
Yeah, I was like, how the fuck did Casey feel with all that?
Oh, God.
I've never really asked you. And just for those who are listening, Casey and I lived with each other. She lived with our family. She was almost like a sister to me,
Yeah.
And it's bringing up emotions just even talking about that. And, and it was a massive
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that though.
Oh, really?
Like I was only talking about that. I feel like recently I talked about that, or maybe what it was that she meant to me. Someone asked me the question. Actually, I think she came up on Saturday. Like when I was, we got asked the question, "What was love to you as a child?" And I could not write down what love to me as a child was, but I'm pretty sure I had something to say about Auntie Donna. because I felt like when I think of love as a child, I think of her. I think of her arms, her embrace, her smile, and I feel like she really had so much love for me. And when I think about who my favourite auntie was, it was her. Yeah. And I remember the day that we got the phone call to of her passing. Like, I would have only been 11. Like, I wasn't even an intermediate then, and I don't know. For me, it was just like, I don't know. That was huge for me. Like, that was my world. Yeah. Changed completely because she was everything to me. I mean, she took me on. Like,
from
she literally took me in when my mum was going through her worst, and
I mean, it was pretty much a lot of times of your childhood. You know, that was. She
was there.
My structure and foundation as a child wasn't the greatest, but then you were put into our family, which and that become yours, and to try and have to adapt to all of that. I mean, as kids, we just moved. Like I said, I've always looked at it like a sister, but we just go with it. But it's not until we get older and start looking back at our childhood and going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
There's a lot of my childhood was like, "What the fuck?" Even with my mum, I suppressed and didn't deal with it. I thought I was okay all through my teen years, even though I was off the rails and whatnot. But still, and it's not until really now. But that's the old saying: you don't know until you know.
Yeah, that's right.
And when you know, it's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. I feel like, and obviously because I've been doing a lot of this work lately, I feel like I don't remember a lot of my childhood. And I know you and Amanda have both said to me on numerous occasions, and whenever, like, we might have been having drinks or whatever, you always said, we had a fucked up childhood, Case, but you had a fucked up childhood. And I've never asked the question, why? Why do you think I had more fucked up than you? Because I don't remember. I feel like I don't remember. I feel like there's only certain things I remember as a child, and I feel like, did I just block the rest out? Because, yeah,
but
so
when I say had it worse, it wasn't. It was more.
I know I had a fucked up childhood. I do know that, but like, when you guys have said that before, I've always think, I wonder what they remember that I don't remember.
Mine was more yet to live with Amanda. Nah.
Well, so I remember one of you's been really mean. No, I remember you always being like my looking after me. But
always do.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't bring that up to you, but it's good that we spoke about that, and it's crazy how it
definitely affected me, but I was again. I feel like I blocked that. I feel like I blocked. No, I'm glad you did, because I don't feel like no one's ever asked me how that affected me. Like, at that time, it was like, my mum was dealing with the death of her sister. My cousins were dealing with the death of their mum, but I was just this cousin, or her niece, but I'm not this.
It's funny how disconnected you can come as a family, with something like death. How
See, I remember that. I remember how bad the family situation got and all that kind of stuff. But I don't.
At a time of where people should come together and be understanding, it's almost like the opposite happens. Yeah. It's like, you sort of go in, but you do that quite naturally, I think, as human beings. We go in, but I feel, well, fuck, man. Even if I wanted to be there for your case, I mean, I was fucking, shit got real for me.
Yeah, man. No, it was a hard time for everybody. Yeah. I even think about what Mum took on, like after all of that happened, what they went through and what they had to not only deal with losing their sister, but their nieces and their nephews and their nieces, and and then taking on two teenagers who had just lost their mum, and like there's a lot of we went through a lot.
I'm sure I can speak on behalf of the people that are going to watch this video. You're pretty inspiring. You've achieved a fucking shitload, Case. And I know that sometimes, we were only talking about it before you walked in the door of that you haven't achieved much, and how we don't take
that's me telling I don't
and we were talking about like we don't take responsibility of actually smelling the roses, so to speak. We're always trying to get better, and we never really get there because we never do actually get there. The only thing that's coming to us is death, and we're talking about with you losing 10 kilograms, you should stop at 10 and just actually
be happy that I lost that, because I wanted that so badly. But
also keep moving forward to the 20, but don't, you
celebrate your wins. Whereas I'm the worst at that. I've got friends who will celebrate the smallest thing. They could have made an extra $10 today compared to yesterday, and they'll go in to celebrate that. Whereas I could have signed up, I was able to quit my full-time job and live solely with Girl Gang, off Girl Gang, right, running that, from home, like I was able to get financial freedom and time, more time, and not once did I ever celebrate that.
Yeah.
It was just, okay, what next? Yeah. What's next? What's next?
And that's so fucking important. But I'm not even preaching that because I'm probably the world's worst.
I'm probably still the worst at it too. Yeah. Like, I know it, but I probably maybe still don't celebrate our
goal for the week.
Yeah.
Being more appreciative. Yeah, celebrate what we got. I listened to a Tony Robinson, how he prepares his morning. Yeah. Every morning. And without going into too much in detail about it, but one part of it, he takes 10 minutes out for himself. Yeah. He's an ice bath every morning. But he, he names 3 things that he's grateful for. Yeah. And not just saying I'm grateful for, the obvious. Yeah. Actually think about some things you're grateful for, like having a warm shower. Yeah. Having some things. Family or friends, or for the fresh air or your healthiness, or, there's heaps of little things. And he'll name 3 different ones every morning, and then he'll also do 3 goals he wants to teach that he wants himself to do. And then he starts with the hardest one. Yeah, which is a good way to do it. Yeah. Since Saturday, I feel like I went into this next level of emotional journey or whatever you want to call it. But since Saturday, I have been definitely appreciating stuff more. Like, my car is a piece of shit, right? But I got in the car the other day and I was like, I love you, my little blue bullet. And I was like, you get me to my walks every single day. You get me to my coffee, you get Kyra to school. You're a really great car. Thank you. And then I've driven away. And then I grabbed my coffee and I've taken a sip of my coffee like it's nothing. Then I've taken another sip and I'm like, you make my day. You really do. You are the highlight of my day, coffee. I really love this coffee. You're a good thing, Because there'd be 90% of the world out there
that just lives.
If you were driving down their neighbourhood in that car, that you'd be considered rich.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Having a 4-door.
Well, having a car.
Yeah.
Be grateful for having a car, Some people are walking and walking in the rain to the bus stop because they can't get a car or whatever reason. But I always call my car a piece of shit. But I'm like, bro, this car is a good little reliable. Yeah, it's ugly, but it gets me everywhere that I need to go. And same with my coffee. Like, that's the highlight of my day. Why am I not more grateful for that coffee and that car that gets me there every day? So just since that, I've been a lot more grateful for things, and I've changed my room around and just made this space that I'm so happy with. And I spent the whole day in there pretty much yesterday. I was just like, I just love this room. Like, this is what I need and this is what I want. And I'm,
living life.
Yeah. And I'm literally going with what feels good. And what feels good is for me to be grateful for the small things.
So just on that note then, Kay, so to sort of close it up, what would be, if you had to, I don't know, how do we close this up with sort of going over everything we've been to? What would your advice be for someone like yourself, or someone out there that's watching this video, to sum it all up, if there's 3 or 4 things that you could just say, this is what you'd recommend?
I think if you're out there right now and you're struggling and you are feeling down, like you're in a hole, and pretty much where I was, get out of your comfort zone. Do something, anything that is going to throw you out of your comfort zone. Put on a bikini and go to the beach. Frickin' go walk into a gym wearing shorts. Like, just the smallest things can make the biggest impact. Yeah, and get out of your comfort zone. Be grateful for the small things. And
education.
Yeah, just choose you. Just choose, do things for you. Fuck what everyone else says. Fuck society. Fuck what people think. Fuck what people feel. Because I've done that shit for my entire life. Do what makes you happy. And if that is walking through a park with your headphones on, singing at the top of your lungs, walk through the fucking park. And if anyone judges you, that's them. That's a them problem. If anyone has anything to say about you or what you do or how you live, it's a them problem. But do what makes you fucking happy. And if it's, choose you.
Yeah, awesome.
Choose you, do you. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on board, Cuzzy.
It's all right, thank you.
I love you, man.
Love you too.
And let's do it again.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That was.
It's going to give us heaps more to sort of talk about as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.